Hi, I'm Billy Keels, the host of the Going Long podcast. Every week, I'm going to be here interviewing the absolute best in the business as it relates to real asset investing, as well as real Main Street investors. We're going to be having conversations where you can listen in, and that's going to help you to continue on your path to education so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident in investing long distance. So make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you're liking it as well, because that way you can get every single episode as soon as it comes out. And by the way, don't forget to leave today's episode a 5-star review. Let's go ahead and listen to today's conversation. Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help you to feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. I'm your host, Billy Keels, and if you've ever wanted to understand how real estate can provide freedom for you to create deep states of trust, then this is going to be the conversation that you're going to want to listen to until the very last word, because today's guest has over 2 decades of branding and marketing expertise for creating brands built on real trust. He also has helped to enable businesses to create long-lasting loyalty and command price premiums. He's also, get this, he is an active as well as a passive investor that enjoys long-distance investing with properties in the U.S. Southeast as well as the Northeast. And he is the founder of Trust Deep Brand Agency, Stace Caseria. Stace, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Billy, I am happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing very well, man. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today because I know you're going to be adding so much value, and you're also going to help everyone understand how real estate can also help you to get to do things that you really, really love in your real life. So really looking forward to today's conversation, man. But as you know, Stace, I like to ask everybody at least the same 5 questions. 2 in the beginning, 3 in the end, and kind of everything in between. Well, it's going to be up to you and I. So want to get things started out on the right foot and help us understand, Stace, where exactly do you live in the United States?
Yeah, so I live in a small town outside of Boston. It's called Sudbury. So it's Sudbury, Massachusetts, although I'm originally from Connecticut, but we've been here about 8 years.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Sudbury, Massachusetts. We love that. And then what's the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
You know, last night I had the opportunity to help some friends begin to resolve a very difficult situation. And oddly enough, it involved real estate. But it was a tough situation and people weren't listening to each other. And I helped them to understand that everybody has the same amount of stress or different kinds of stress, but everybody's got stress in their life. And so get people to appreciate the difficulties that other people are having and just like take a step back and understand that we're all on the same page. Felt good.
Oh man, that's just great. When you have those types of opportunities where you can help everyone to see kind of this perspective on things and maybe take a step back and not just look at it only from their point of view and only from their perspective. We need more people like you in the world, man. That's an awesome thing. So thanks for sharing that. And I'm sure that the people that you spoke to yesterday and helped them, that they really, really appreciated your intervention. So awesome, man. So listen, I talked about a couple of really, really high level things, but I guess what everybody in the Going Long family wants to know, Stace, is kind of help us understand a little bit more about your backstory, some of the different decisions that you've made in your life, what you're doing today, but also kind of how investing long distance has played a role in helping you to get to where you are today.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Like I said, we are from Connecticut, my wife and our family, and my brother and I have properties in Connecticut. And so the thing is, we both own those, but he is completely hands off. So I am the guy who manages those. When we moved up to Boston 8 years ago, we made the decision to keep those properties, but just to manage them remotely. And I don't have property management in place. I'm doing all that myself. But I do have, handyman kind of services, plumbers, electricians who I have on call. But it's really taught me how to stay in touch without being involved every single day. And it's kind of helped me disengage a little bit from like the minutia of owning properties, especially these are singles and doubles that we have in Connecticut. And there can be a lot of small headaches. All properties have, those issues, but this has really helped me to take a step back and say, what are the things that I really need to be involved in, and what are the things that will just resolve themselves?
Yeah, love that. So being able to have that real estate, I guess, experience is something that's fantastic. And you've also done some other things, but give us a little bit more and even go beyond the real estate. Like help us understand a little bit more about you, what you're doing nowadays. And then don't worry, we'll tie all the real estate stuff in later on, but let's get to know you.
Sure. Yeah. So my background is in advertising. So for about 20 years now, 22 years, I've been working in digital advertising. And about 5 years ago, I decided, I don't want to work for anybody else anymore. Let me start my own thing. I have ideas that I want to guide my work. And I said, here's a thing that I absolutely believe in, this idea of trust being the foundation of loyalty and loyalty being the foundation of long-term relationships. I said, let me put that to the focus of the work that I'm going to do, helping small businesses or large businesses better communicate and create those relationships with their customers. So that's what we do. We do branding and content development, but we're always focused on building relationships rather than saying, hey, what's our goal? Our goal is to get engagement, or what's our goal? We need 10,000 likes. What's our goal? To sell all this product. No. We focus on relationship. Everything else comes with that. So we think about nothing but trust and how to do that authentically, how to build on these. We got these 4 pillars of trust, how to build those into branding, how to build those into your communications, how to build those into the way your customer service reps interact with your customers.
Love that. And trust me, we're going to get into those 4 pillars because that's something that I have, personally been looking at recently. And so maybe I'll even ask a couple of personal questions here during today's conversation. So let's talk about the real estate stuff, just because I'm interested in also too, because you said something that you've been in the corporate world for a while, and then you said about 5 years ago or so, you realized that you had your own ideas and that you had things that that you would be able to bring in your own voice from your company, and being able to help others to do that and focusing on the relationship. But what was it, I guess, about the corporate experience that is actually helping you today to add more value to the ecosystem that you're creating in the customers that you are ultimately helping to help their customers?
Yeah, so something that I learned was and I don't think I would have gotten this on my own if I had just 20 years ago said, hey, I'm going to start my own agency. The structure and the ability to collaborate with large groups of people who you likely don't agree with on everything, but you have the same goal. So we might have the same motivation, but we don't have the same path to get there. But we have to figure out a way to do that. So working in the corporate world helped me see that. It also helped me to bring structure to what I do, more processes, because I saw that when we hired new people, you could either sit side by side with that person and train them manually. And so if they spend 10 hours on something, you spend 10 hours on something, or you can create processes that can be repeatable. Of course, you need to oversee people's work, but giving people the structure so that they understand, they have expectations about what to deliver, how to do something. And I think it's sort of freeing at the same time that it allows people to focus on what they do rather than how they're supposed to be doing it. So if somebody's a writer or a designer, they can focus on their craft rather than what meetings do I go to? How do we talk to clients? What form do I put this in? Like documentation, things like that.
Yeah, when you start talking about building processes, and then from those processes creating the actual standard operating procedures, or SOPs, as a lot of people will talk about, you start realizing that having that structure can really create a lot of freedom, because as soon as you said that sit 10 hours and that you're also sitting 10 hours, for some reason that rang a bell with me a little bit. And then I learned about the importance of process and structure. And I think this is one of the things that is really beneficial, especially for a lot of the busy professionals that are out here. And sometimes we forget all of the really wonderful things that we're learning in our corporate roles. And many times you can apply a lot of the lessons that you took from your corporate role, or that you have in your corporate roles, and you can apply that to investing or to building your own business, or whatever the case may be. So I appreciate you sharing that life lesson and the transferable skills that you're able to see there. Also, too, Stace, you mentioned, or I mentioned, I guess, that your investment, you have been investing in real assets or real estate. A lot of people will say, I tend to say real assets. And you were doing that in the Northeast as well as the Southeast. So as you know, like here on the Going Long podcast, we love to continue to educate people so they feel comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. You shared a little bit with us about some of the things that were happening in the Northeast, but I don't think you mentioned anything about the Southeast. So maybe talk to us a little bit about where in the Southeast, and kind of how did you even get involved in an investment in a place that is beyond your backyard?
Yeah, so the reason that I wanted to get involved in, like you say, investments beyond my backyard is that I think I've just hit a wall here in the Northeast, and I know people say you can find great deals anywhere, or you can find cash flowing properties anywhere, and I believe that. I am looking for opportunities that might provide better cash flow and might be more advantageous for landlords. The properties that I have here in the Northeast, first of all, anything that I can afford in the Northeast, the buildings are like 100 plus years old. I mean, it's like, I can't afford a Class A property here to own myself, right? So if I went in with partners, yeah, probably can do that. But I was looking for another area where I could invest and meet some of those goals. So I read a book on syndication, like, how to determine a good target market for yourself. And so I narrowed it down to 3 locations, Atlanta being the top one. I used to travel to Atlanta in the past, for work and things like that. And I've always liked Atlanta. I said, what? This is one of the fastest growing cities in America. It's got tons of positives. And there's some opportunity here. I found a syndicator who was working in the area there, and he had a deal that fit my criteria. And I said, this is the first syndication I've been involved in. I said, let me get involved with this, because I would really love to learn more about the syndication by being actively part of it. So I have to find a syndicator who would be willing to take me on and help me do that. But before that, just being involved in the syndication, of course, understanding the process, the decisions that they're making as experienced syndicators has really helped me to understand that next step. But there's still a lot that I need to learn. But the thing, if somebody listening has not invested passively in a syndication when they're thinking about it, so far my experience has been fantastic. It's completely hands off. I mean, first of all, they don't want my help, but I don't need to understand other than how the property is performing each month, each quarter, each year, and those returns just keep happening. But if there are any problems, I'm not involved in those things. So that's the beauty of syndication.
Wonderful. So you're having a very positive experience with the syndication that you are involved in. It sounded like you took some steps to actually figure out which type of location was going to provide you with cash flow, because it sounds like that was something that you couldn't or weren't as able to easily find in the Northeast where you're living. And I guess probably a lot of people are thinking, well, Stace said that he was in the corporate world. He's now a business owner. Like, why did you even think about real estate as an investment vehicle, especially when most people are just thinking about which mutual fund or stock they can buy?
Yeah, and so this goes back to advice my mother gave me, when I got out of college. So she owned a business at the time. She owned a restaurant. And anybody who's worked in a restaurant or owned a restaurant knows that the hours are just deadly. So she was working so many hours, she was getting older. Her health was, not great. So she's like, I got to do something else. So she started buying single family rentals. And at one point she's like, you and your brother have to do this because the process works. And she just showed me like on paper, like just basic, like here's rent, here are my expenses. Do you see the difference? And I understood that this is a thing that can work. And it took me a while to actually, like your parents give you advice, of course, you always know better than them, but it took me a little while to figure that out. But she was the one who made me see that this is a path that works and it provides freedom. So once she sold her restaurant, she didn't have a real job ever again. It was just owning the properties. And she's been selling some of those off because she's, two things, right? So she's getting old and she's tired of them, and the market's just fantastic. So she's just like, I've done all I want to do with these, and she's passed them on to somebody else. But that's where it came from, like seeing it in action. Like it was like this one sheet of paper that showed me that the potential profit per month, and I was like, oh really? And you didn't have to. How much work did you have to do? Not to say that it's no work. That's not true. There is work involved, but like. For anybody who's in the corporate world or owns their business, like for at least 40 hours a week, you are working. You're trading that time for money every week.
Yeah. No, and so and what I appreciate that you just said there, you talked about these are the potential returns that they could provide. You also talked about the fact that you recognize that it's not something that just happens on its own, but the fact of the matter is kind of what I've always heard growing up was mama knows best. So listen to what mama talks about and then figure it out. And when you're able to see in a very simple way, your revenue comes in, your expenses go out, and this is simplified a model. Of course, this is what you're left with. And then also how much time are you actually having to put in yourself to create that result? And so that kind of light bulb went off in your head. So appreciate you sharing that. And I want to stay with this kind of passive investment idea, because you knew the location that you wanted to go to, and you knew that you wanted to be able to do more of this. And correct me if I'm wrong, you knew that you didn't want to invest your time there. So you started looking for someone else, and you found a syndicator. Is that up until that point? Am I explaining it correctly?
Yeah, although someday soon, I would like to be more actively involved in the syndications. So I would love to work with a syndicator and lend my skill set to what they need to learn that process. But everything else is correct. Where I sort of interviewed different syndicators on my own. After I found the location, I said, who has a deal in this area? And tons of syndicators online. I watched hours and hours of YouTube videos. I talked to people, got some firsthand advice from people, and then talked to the syndicators themselves.
Okay, perfect. And that makes a lot of sense. So you got into a syndication, and it sounds like you were doing your homework and you found someone on YouTube and you were looking online yourself and you knew where you wanted to go. And so you got to the point where you decided to make the investment with that particular syndicator. Right. And when you made that investment, was that syndicator someone that you trusted when you made that investment?
Yeah, he was somebody that I trusted based on
Actually, before you go there, because this is I know you're gonna I feel like you're gonna tell us something, but you trusted the person, right? And so this is your space. You help people to create relationships based on trust. Mm-hmm. So could you please walk us through how you actually came to trust this person to the point that you said, look, I'm going to entrust a specific amount of your capital, whatever that was, mm-hmm. to this individual, because then you trusted them enough to be able to give the return on your goals, your dreams, and your capital. So maybe talk us through that process to get to trusting the syndicator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's directly related to how my agency works. Like, so we have the 4-pillar program, and so there's credibility, track record, empathy, and alignment of interests. Those are the 4 pillars. I looked and I found 3 of those pillars within the syndicator that I was thinking about. So credibility. Does he know what he's talking about? Yes. Do his values seem to match with his actions? Yes. He had credibility. He had track record. So track record is sort of hoping something to happen in the future based on events of the past. Yes, I could see a steady track record there. The alignment of interests. Alignment of interests is like you and me wanting to get to the same goal and having the same path to get there. And he and I had the same philosophy on how conservative to be, how aggressive to be, how to, the type of market to move into. So the only thing that was missing was this measure of empathy. And empathy is important in establishing trust. But it's not that I wrote it off, but I said, I don't have an opportunity to get to know this guy, even through YouTube video, anything like that. But there was enough there where I could say, you know what, I have faith that if I entrust my vulnerability to this guy, I'm not going to end up hurt. And so that's what trust is. It's like allowing yourself to be vulnerable, whether it's in a personal relationship, a business relationship, like family relationship, any of that. In order to establish trust, you have to give up some safety. You have to say, you know what, I'm going to make myself vulnerable or expose a weakness, and I'm trusting you not to take advantage of that.
Love that. So those 4 steps: credibility, track record, alignment of interest, and empathy. And then also recognizing that at a certain point, when you are trusting someone, you are giving up a bit of safety. So I think that is key. Also, not in you're giving us your own personal experience, and this is also something that is based on your 20 plus years of expertise, not just in branding, but also marketing. And now you're helping other people to be able to build relationships based on trust. I was at I was a speaker at a multifamily conference not too long ago. A buddy of mine named Jerome Myers, he puts on a Mid-Atlantic multifamily investing conference, and I spoke there. And there was a gentleman who was talking about a triangle, and I think most of us have heard of this triangle when I say it, and it was the know, like, and trust you triangle, right? And so the question was, which of these three is the most important? And so, of course, everyone said, not everyone, a couple of people didn't say the thing, which was trust, right? Yep. But I'd like for you, as someone who is an expert, to talk to us about know, like, and trust. In terms of being able to start a relationship, which of those three, in your estimation, is the most important, and why?
Trust is absolutely the most important, and that's how we named our agency. So we have, think of it like a metaphor. When people know you, that happens in your head. When they like you, it happens in your heart. When they trust you, it happens in the gut. So it's like going down a level. So we are trust deep. Like you and I have a trust deep relationship. That's where the name of our agency comes from. All those, like everything else is built on that. And we tell our clients, like when we're talking about digital marketing, when people know you, you get clicks. When people like you, you make a sale. But when people trust you, you create a customer for life. So that's the thing we end up focusing on is building trust. The other things are necessary in that process. It's a continuum, and you get to trust.
Yeah, and so and I completely hear you and agree with you that trust is the most. I'm going to be a little bit contrarian here.
Yeah.
Because and I'm thinking more from a syndicator, and I'm thinking about your first experience, right? It's very difficult to build trust if people don't actually know you. And so I'm
it's impossible.
Maybe,
it's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. It's impossible. So maybe, and I know that you talk about these three things. You just gave us a great example in terms of, if they know you, they click. If they like you, you can make a purchase. And if they trust you, you have a customer for life. And hopefully those people are also referring other like-minded people to you as well, right? Which creates that fly loop. But talk to us about the difficulties that can happen, or maybe not the difficulties, but the importance of people at least getting to know you. I'll just leave it there.
Sure. So it is incredibly difficult these days. I mean, just like there's so much competition, whether you're a plumber, a doctor, a lawyer, a syndicator, you have to generate awareness for yourself or your brand or your business. There are just so many options that people have. If you think about going into the supermarket and you're looking to buy like breakfast cereal, there's like 1,000 cereals. I mean, like anybody who's in business faces that same that same challenge. If somebody doesn't know you exist, they can't call you, they can't email you, they're not going to look into your deal if they don't know that you exist. That's the first step to getting somebody down the path to liking you. I mean, if they don't know you, they can't like you. If they don't like you, they can't trust you. But yeah, knowledge of somebody is incredibly difficult to achieve, but it's absolutely vital to have any sort of success. Something I say is you don't need to have brand awareness if your customers are only your friends and your family. If you want to go beyond that, you're going to need people to know who you are.
I love that. So yeah, we're definitely aligned there. And so maybe help us understand, like, how are you today at Trust Deep? Like, how are you helping people to become known so that they can actually start that path? Because I think this is something that is really important and something that you do differently so that you can actually help people to get to that last point, which is the creation of trust.
Sure. So there are a couple of ways we can do that. So the traditional way would be advertising. Advertising is expensive, and it is sort of, it's not mutually beneficial. So it's beneficial for the advertiser, not necessarily for the consumer. Another way that we do that is through social media. And social media is a little bit more of a mutual benefit. Still, I think it rests on the benefit goes to the advertiser or the brand. Creating content, genuine content about a topic is a way that we're helping one client right now in particular get known, because that's what we're talking about, getting known. His site now in his category ranks on Google's first page. And he was blown away by the ability to do that. Like, that's how we find things these days. We Google everything. And so people in his category, Googling his type of business, like an insurance broker, find him on the first page. That helps people know that he exists. When they click through, then they're going to start to understand, oh, he knows what he's talking about. We're going to start to build some credibility. We're going to start to build some track record with testimonials from other clients. People are going to read his content that we've created and get to know him a little bit better and understand his personality. Then we're going to start to get measures of empathy in there. So that's how we do it. It sounds awfully mechanical, but you need to get in front of people. I would say to people who are looking to start in real estate, in the old days, we'd go to a meetup, right? And we'd shake hands with people. And if you do that, somebody who meets you is going to meet 50 or 60 other people that night. You need to stand out in some way that lets people know what you stand for and that you're a credible person, or somebody that they should be interested in talking to again, or getting your phone number or your email address or whatever it is. But there are tons of ways to get people to know you, but you want people to remember you as well.
I love that. And so if you would be kind enough, I think it would be great to maybe give us an example or some of the things that someone could do to not just, hey, you and I met, Stace, great conversation, but to your point, if there are 50 other people in the room that are all in, doing the same thing, you're in a common pool. Like, what are some of the things that you could do differently so that people will remember you?
Sure. So something I think about is when I go to meetups and I'm talking to people, and I try to meet as many people as possible. I love talking to people, and how often they'll just say what they do as a title, and they'll introduce themselves as though they're a title. Like, hey, I'm Joey. I flip houses. Well, Joey, I just met 12 other guys who do the same thing. But if Joey were to say, hi, I'm Joey. I'm the house flipper who makes, homeowners' problems go away, or, okay, so he's given himself a little bit more of an introduction to me. Or if he said something like, hey, I'm a syndicator who always returns 18% IRR or something like that. Okay, that's kind of a random thing, but like he's making me think that he's doing something different or special. If somebody said, like, I'm the guy who specializes in revitalizing neighborhoods. Like, okay, you've differentiated yourself by giving yourself a little bit more of a title. I think Steve Jobs used to say, in order to be better, we have to be different. In order to be known or recognized or remembered, you have to be different in some way. Like your show, for instance, has a very specific focus. This isn't a real estate investing show, right? It's not even a syndication show. You have a purpose to help people get comfortable with investing at distance, right? So there's a thing that makes you different and special than 7, 10, or 100 other podcasts that people might be listening to. You got to differentiate.
Okay, and I love that. So being able to differentiate, find out that thing that is true about you, that you are passionate, that you're passionate about, or that you are on a mission to help other people to be able to do. So thank you for helping us to understand something that is a very actionable step. And so going along family, listen, Stace just gave you a great idea. When you're out and you're meeting other people, think about what is it that you're passionate about, and also be able to share that with other people, because typically when you're sharing something that you're really passionate about, or you have a vision around, you're going to be able to attract people that are similar to you in that way. So, I think a lot of times when people talk about brand, you mentioned a couple of big brands before, and I think like sometimes we can get stuck, and this is really for those of the Going Along family that are already on the journey, right? And they know that they want to be, that they want to become a business owner, or they want to transition from their full-time corporate role, right? In the same situation that you were in before. Mm-hmm. And thinking about this whole thing about coming up with a name, there's really an art and a science to it. I'm not an expert at all, but I'm talking to someone who is. So without giving away your secret sauce, maybe talk us through some of the different, like the aspects, the art and science aspects of coming up with names.
Sure. And I could give you the secret sauce. It still doesn't mean people would be able to do it.
All right. Well,
It's
what
still a
I feel.
process.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
But it's interesting. The thing you said is like the thing you're passionate about. And so what we do when we're talking to people, so naming can be a very, very in-depth process. Trying to understand the mission that somebody has or the purpose, codifying that, like describing it, putting it on paper, and then trying to understand what people need. That's your customer, right? Find out their needs. And then you're going to have to come up with a clever way to describe it, a clever, memorable, simple way to describe what you do, boil it down to a few words. And on its own, that name should be able to give people most of what they need to understand what you do. And of course, it's not going to give them everything. That's just not possible. Like 3 or 4 words or 2 words in a name just isn't going to give somebody everything they need to know, but they're going to have to understand what you stand for and how you might be different than somebody else. So going long, absolutely, it piques your curiosity to say, what is the long? Well, okay, we're talking about distance, but you're also talking about my future, right? You're also talking about going further as a business owner, not just being on the surface, going deeper. So a name is it's a difficult thing to find. This is why I think a lot of people will defer to just like naming a business after their own name, like John Smith Syndicators or John Smith Capital or, like Iron Claw Capital. You're like, okay, I don't really know what that means. It kind of sounds a little scary, but naming is a difficult thing, but it's incredibly important because a good name will take the place of advertising, expensive advertising. Once you have your name established and you've gone through that process, it opens doors for you because people will remember you, people will understand what you're doing. You don't have to explain to them. Otherwise, you'd have to spend a lot of money on advertising to get people to recognize or understand those same things about you. So, but I don't know if you're interested in the actual naming process, like the steps we go through.
No, I mean, that was just the fact that you helped us understand, because you're combining both because there's a process, right, which is the science that you do, and then also there is the art, which is what can you think of to be memorable, that's clever. So it's the combination of those two. And of course, for individuals that are in that part of the process, that they're thinking about this naming convention, this is obviously one of the different ways that you are also serving others with your agency. And so I know that you mentioned before, like you talked about the 4 steps, the credibility, the track record, alignment of interest, and empathy. That was one thing, but I wanted to highlight, before we get to the going long final 3, just some of the different services that you offer at Trust Deep, and I kind of looked at these, which was like the brand discovery, validation, product service, and brand naming, employee engagement consulting, as well as content development. And of those 4, like from business owners or people that are looking to transition into syndication, which of those 4 services do you typically see that people need the most help with? That is one thing. And then secondly, who is the typical person that your agency is really helping?
Sure. Great question. So the thing that people have the most difficulty with is brand development. And so the other things, so content development, there are a lot of people who create content nowadays, and people will come up with names on their own. But brand development is very difficult. First of all, the brand usually always exists within the person. The difficult part is getting it out of them, helping them understand what they stand for, and how to codify that, how to put that on paper, how to share that with other people. And I can give you an example, a quick example. We did a branding exercise with a restaurant chain here in Boston, and they're up and down the East Coast. And the brand, or the restaurant chain, was run by the founder, who knew exactly what he wanted, but couldn't explain to other people why things had to be a certain way. What was the meaning of the way they prepared and presented food? What was the meaning of the reason the menu was a certain way? And he just took it for granted. But as he's expanding, he has no way of getting new franchisees or new managers or new employees to understand what he believes in. What we were able to do is have this exploration where we dug in deep to his past and understood what mattered to him and said, oh, here's what you mean, and this is why. So now when we tell your employees, do this, this, and this because of X, Y, and Z, because it's going to have that effect, that was the branding. That was like this light bulb that went off, and it was like he was stunned. He's like, this is exactly what I mean. Why doesn't anybody follow this? So I go, because you're just not used to trying to articulate it to other people. So we ended up making a handbook. Typically we make a brand book and give it to like the marketing people. Here we did a brand book for the marketing people and a brand book for employees. Say, this is how you live the brand.
Yeah, I love that. So that's it's a great example in also helping us understand kind of what, who is the person that's typically coming to you to need your help. So that is
small to medium-sized businesses. We occasionally have projects with large enterprises, but most of our work is companies that have under 100 people.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. So, listen, I mean, you helped us understand a lot of different things. And I guess at a certain point, we've got to get to the going long final three.
Okay.
And so the thing is, Stace, I never asked the going long final three unless you tell me that you're ready. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Perfect. So this is the going long final three and the lightning round, as you like to say. So help us understand. The first question is, we started over there with you in the US and we're bringing it back this way to me in Europe. So what is your favorite European city that you've either visited or still on your bucket list to visit?
My family is from Italy, so we used to try and go back every couple of years, and I love Rome. I just think it's phenomenal. The history, the people, the food. Yeah, love Rome.
It's wonderful. Okay, so we got another vote for Rome. And so next question. Every single successful person and business that I've met have, like, one of the things that makes them really different is they've only made one mistake in the entire time that they. Okay, you kind of laughed. You got me right. So okay, and since you're a very successful person, maybe that wasn't it. Maybe we've made lots and lots of mistakes, and most importantly, or you call them learning opportunities, or however you want to say it. But I guess the important thing is what is the one lesson that you would pass forward to the Going Long family that they could take away?
Yeah. And this is something I discovered when I made the mistake, and it was really obvious to me. It was not respecting time. Like, we only have so much time, and I found that I was delaying making decisions, and it was costing me money and it was costing me opportunity. So don't be indecisive, learn to take risks, and understand that, like, if you don't take that opportunity today, somebody else will.
Yeah. Perfect. Love that. So respect time and don't be afraid to make a decision. So it sounds great. And the going long final three, the third of the three, is help us understand and feed the brain here. So what is your book recommendation that you have for the Going Long family?
Oh, I read a book that was called Further Faster by Bill Flynn. And so it really helps you, it goes with the time thing I just mentioned, it helps you prioritize those things or understand the things that are going to help move your business forward. Like I said, further, faster. There are lots of things as business owners we could all focus on. We have to find the things that turn out to have the most ROI. Love that. Further, faster, Bill Flynn. That's another one to the book category that we're going to add, and we'll also include that in the show, and those in the show notes. And so I'm just going back through, Stace, and I'm thinking about you and where we started with your experience in the corporate world, and really saying, hey, look, I've got a lot of skills that I'd like to be able to put to use on my own practice and be able to make a direct impact on others. And then you have experience in investing beyond your backyard, both up and down the East Coast, as well as through syndications with others in the Southeast of the United States. And so you've also helped us to understand the importance of trust and being able to build trust and be able to do that in a way that is a deep trust, right? Starting out, understanding, knowing who you are, then being able to like you, and then ultimately being able to have that deep trust with the relationship that has and creates raving fans, right? That's me adding that part. Sure. And also people that will continue to be loyal, as you talked about before. And so I know that just the things that you've talked about today, like so many people in the Going Long family are thinking, how do I get in touch with Stace? Like, I got to find him. I got to ask him other questions. I want to find out about his syndication. I want to find out about how he's helping small business owners and also people that are looking to transition from corporate into their own thing. And so help us understand, man, like, what is the best way for the Going Long family to get in touch with you and find out more about you? Sure. So they can visit our website. It's trustdeepagency.com, and they can email me there, Stace, STACE, @trustdeepagency.com. We're always happy to field questions that people have about their business or branding or content development, like any question we have. So we have a wealth of knowledge, and we find that people find value in that. So we're always happy to share that.
All right, awesome. So trustdeepagency.com, and you can reach Stace at trustdeepagency.com. I've been over to the website. It looks fantastic. Going Long family, go over to the website. They've got lots of information. Great way to get in touch with Stace and his team, find out more about their leadership team as well and some of the different things that they're doing. And listen, Stace, for me, this has been great. I really want to thank you for you investing your time with me and the entire Going Long family. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I had a great time.
Yeah, awesome. So, and just a couple quick words for the Going Long family. Once again, listen, Stace left so much great information, shared his experiences with you. And you know what? You get an opportunity today to make a positive impact on someone else's life. So share today's episode with like 2 or 3 other people. Be that person that is making a positive impact on them today. And also to take a second to leave us an honest review of today's conversation. Let us know. Like, just pull out your iPhone, just give us an honest review. You know, it's something that I go through each and every review, because we're going to continue to make sure that the Going Long podcast is providing you exactly what you are looking for. And I would really appreciate that as well. And you know what? I'm really looking forward to welcoming you back on the very next conversation. And until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Wow. Don't you love hearing from top-notch experts in the field? You know, when I was getting started, I really wish that I would have had access to such experts. And even more, I wish they would have given me like a really simple list of things to follow so that I could have gotten to my goals much faster and been much happier even sooner. So that's why I've created for you the 7 things that you should avoid in order to be successful in long distance investing. And you can pick that up really easily by going to billykeels.com/7 things to avoid. And also, if you liked today's episode, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. I'm looking forward to seeing you on our very next episode, so go out and make it a great day.